Hey guys, welcome to the 2019 Character Conference. We are so excited to have you fighting for our lives in an age of loneliness, depression, anxiety, and suicide. Thanks for tuning in. Stick around. I know it's a long video, but it will be worth your time. Let's go. Say it with me. Everyone struggles. It's actually pretty liberating to say. I think we should say it again. Everyone struggles. See, but in our Instagram filtered selfie stick Snapchat world in which we live in, we begin to forget that everyone struggles. Because we become so familiar with our own failures and our own struggles, but all we see is everybody else's postable moments and their highlight reel. But believe me, everyone struggles. You know, there's lots of different types of struggles. There are teenager struggles. There are parent struggles. There are parent versus teenager struggles. Come on, hello, somebody, right? There are student struggles. Believe me, there are teacher struggles. There are dating struggles. There are singleness struggles. Turn to the person next to you and say, the struggle is real. There's struggles. There's puberty struggles. There's adolescent struggles. There's struggles when you're surrounded by people, and there's struggles when you're all alone. Everyone struggles with something. Not everybody in this room is currently struggling with the same thing, but believe me that everybody in here is struggling with something. That person that you follow on social media that seems like they have the perfect life, they don't. They also struggle. Now, you and I tend to have a negative knee-jerk reaction to struggle. We think that because we're struggling, there must be something wrong with the perfect plan for our life. But you and I both need to know and understand that we only build character. We only build strength in the storms of life, not when the sun is shining on our face. Struggle is built into the very framework of our lives and our development. Just think about the first few moments of your life. You struggle, you stretch, you squeeze just to try to get from your mother's belly out into the world. Don't think about it too much, it's a little too gross, but you're born into struggle. You struggle as your lungs snap open and you try to take that first breath. You struggle to make that pitiful cry and find your voice for the very first time. You're born into struggle, and that's just the first few moments. Struggle is built in for our progress and for our development. But yet, so many times we see struggle as something being wrong. Some of us, our lives have been marked by struggle. Some of you in here maybe have had very few struggles in your life, but some of us in here, if we knew the depth, if we knew the laundry list of struggles that you have dealt with, and we knew the details, it would shock us. And maybe you're in here tonight, and struggle is all that you've known. Maybe you barely made it here tonight. Maybe you crawled in here or somebody drug you in here, and you feel like you're barely hanging on. Can I just encourage you with something? Despite the fact that they left, or despite the fact that they mistreated you, or despite the fact that they said the mean things, or left you out, or cussed you out, or abused you, or neglected you, despite all of that, you're still here. You're still kicking. Come on, people, come on. You're still here. And you might feel weak. You might feel so weak, but you know what? Your struggle muscle, it's seen some reps. And we need you. This community needs you. We need your story. We need your pain. We need your experience. Your children need you. Your classmates need you. And maybe, just maybe, you and I have the audacity to believe that the struggles that have plagued our past might have a place in our future for the betterment of somebody else who's struggling with the exact same thing that you and I have prayed away so many different times. Maybe we have the boldness to believe that our struggles could be used to change the world, to change somebody's perspective, to lift somebody's head, to be that encouraging person at that right moment who knows what it's like to have walked that road. See, I've seen people who come from families of chemical dependency or substance abuse go on and run rehab centers. I've seen people who have struggled. I've seen students who have struggled their entire existence with learning disabilities go on and help other students who struggle in that same way. Good. I've seen people who have been abused and been mistreated go on and run services for the abused. People who start suicide prevention hotlines in places because they themselves have struggled with the thought of taking their own life. May we have the boldness to believe that our struggles can be used for the greater good. That's good. Yeah. Even in my own life, the darkest times of my entire life have become my greatest teaching opportunities that I've ever had. See, but the difficulty is channeling our energy and our attention and our focus, not on what we struggle with, but how we struggle. See, we don't like to struggle publicly. We like to show the best and hide the rest. But if we're going to be a community, if we're going to be a valley, if we're going to be a people group that is supportive, that is helpful, we need to struggle together. And how do we conquer such a large feat as some of the things that are in front of us? How do we conquer such a mountain to climb in front of us? One step at a time. One decision at a time. One conversation at a time. And in a quick fix, microwave, instant gratification culture, we don't like those types of answers. We want it fixed immediately. We want the YouTube tutorial on how to fix our problem and how to fix our marriage or how to fix our relationships or how to fix our anxiety. But it happens one step at a time. One step for you, teenager, might be talking to your parents. Don't roll your eyes at me. I can see you, okay? One step for you might be getting off of social media. Can I get a round of applause from any parents in the house who might encourage me in that way? Can you imagine how much mentally healthier you would be if you took a 1-month detox from the comparison culture that you are steeped in every day? Test me on it. Just try it. 1 month risk-free trial to a happier you. Get off Snapchat. Get my streaks though. I gotta keep. Shut up. Shut up. Get off Snapchat. Get off Instagram. Get off Facebook. I'm not just talking to the young people, parents. That's you too. Some 14-year-old just elbowed his dad who was swiping through Facebook right now. I just saw it right now. One step might look like talking to a school counselor. Did you know that they exist for you even when you're not in a crisis? Yeah. You could schedule a mental health tune-up for free. One step for you might be opening up to a friend. It might be writing down in a journal and trying to pinpoint the source of pain or anxiety or stress that just seems to be overwhelming you. If we're going to truly find healing and help in the midst of our struggle and strife, it's going to require us to reach out for resources. Everybody say, reach out for resources. Reach out for resources. It's got that nice alliteration to it, so it must be true. Everybody say, reach out for resources. If we're going to find the success that we need, we got to reach out for resources. I love this bench press analogy, and not just because I'm a gym teacher, but come on, what a cool visual to think about how much more we can do when we enlist the help of others around us. I love hearing from those students and saying, there are people in your schools, there are people in your homes, there are people in your communities, there's people here at this event that want to help, that want to step alongside you, that want to shoulder some weight, that want to give you a fighting chance. We got to reach out for resources. We can do so much better together than on our own. Victory requires vulnerability, but vulnerability is a cuss word, especially to us guys. Where's the guys at? Raise your hand. See, they don't even want to be vulnerable and raise your hand. Guys, stand up. Guys, every single guy, stand up right now. Stand up right now. Girls, give them a round of applause. They're a little shy. Stay standing. Don't you start sitting down. Stay standing. I need to talk to you guys for a second. I need to talk to you for a second. Man to man. Many of us cringe. Some of you are cringing right now at the thought of opening up to others and talking about emotions, especially when we talk about emotions like doubts, fears, or anxieties. And part of that, a lot of that, is because of the culture that you and I are in. I call it the man up culture. Everybody say man up. Man up. Ladies, you can join it too. Everybody say man up. Man up. Okay? We have this culture. We have this culture that tells us that we need to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, right, Montanans? We gotta get, when we get hurt, we rub some dirt in it, right? We kick our problems in the face, we tough it out because we're men. And you know what? I'm just gonna publicly go on record and say that it's not working. Yeah. It's not working. This man up culture is failing us. You want some proof? I read some studies the other day. Teenage boys are half as likely as girls to attempt suicide in Montana, but 4 times as likely to complete suicide. And one of the worst demographics in our treasure state for suicide is men age 40 to 65. Men. I think we need to change this. Instead of man up, I think we need to flip it. I think we need to start a new movement called man down. Everybody say man down. Yeah. Men who aren't afraid to say man down, man down. Medic, I need some help. I can't handle this on my own. I don't know how, I don't have all the answers. I can't do it on my own. And maybe, just maybe, in this vulnerability, guys, we can set the stage, we can set the example for our sons, for our neighbors, for our classmates, to be a man who's willing to say, I need some help. Gentlemen, find 2 people on your way to your seat, give them a fist bump, say, man down. Man down, you guys can take a seat. See, I've come to know and learn. See, this is a problem for myself too. I'm mostly up here speaking to myself. I've struggled with this my entire life, asking for help when I need it. But I've come to know and learn that the only person who cannot be helped is the one who won't admit that he needs it. Man, I see this all the time in my 2-year-old son. He is so ridiculously passionate and loud and strong-headed. I don't know where he gets it. I think probably his mom. He is so stubborn though. He will get himself in ridiculous situations and I can help him so easy. I can literally lift him from his problem, but he won't take my help. He won't do it. The only person that can be helped is the one who won't admit that he needs it. Guys, you and me need to stop acting like prideful 2-year-olds. We need to reach out for resources. And you know what? Showing weakness doesn't prove that you're weak. It proves that you're human. It proves that you're human. Man down. I thought that was pretty good. Pretty clever. Tough crowd. Ladies, you're not off the hook. You're all clapping. You're like, yeah, they had to stand up. Ladies, stand up. I need the ladies to stand up. Ladies, ladies. You are not off the hook. Now, admittedly, you guys are probably, if we're going to generalize, you guys are better at talking about your emotions and your feelings than the guys are. But you guys do something else. You create prisons of perfection in your head. Oh yes, I'm going there. You create prisons of perfection in your head. You live in a world that portrays women as pretty, poised, and perfect. And if you don't get that from the media, it's all around you. Messages that are telling you that you aren't. You aren't. You aren't thin enough. You aren't strong enough. You aren't smart enough. You aren't tan enough. You aren't toned enough. You aren't. And if you don't get that from the media around you, somehow you escape it. You get it from each other. Maybe not all of you, but I work with some of the more evil of your species, 8th grade girls. And y'all, y'all will hold each other hostage in these prisons of perfection, because when you throw judgment, when you throw hate, when you throw criticism on each other, you get a momentary vacation from the prison you hold yourself in. Yeah. Whew, got real quiet in here. You may live in a culture that says that you aren't. And maybe some of you have even helped create a culture in your schools that tell other girls that they aren't enough. But myself and every other person here, I don't care if you're 14 or you're 40, this is true. Myself and every other person here tonight wants to tell you something. You are. You are. You are. You are enough. You are thin enough. You are strong enough. You are smart enough. You are perfectly, weirdly, uniquely you enough. And this world, this community, these people, this valley, we need you. Not a counterfeit version, not some Hollywood knockoff makeover. We don't need that. We need you. We need your perspectives. Come on, gentlemen, help me out here. And if you want to break from that prison of perfection that you put yourself in, you gotta tell yourself that. You are enough. You gotta preach that to yourself. And then do it to each other. What if you guys created a culture within your school where girls actually had each other's backs and not to stab them in the where you actually built each other up and you actually helped each other's self-esteem? Maybe I'm just ridiculously idealistic, but I think saying kind things to each other is not too much to ask. Saying kind things to yourself, shoot, maybe put a sticky note on the mirror. I don't know what it is, a lock screen on your phone nowadays, right? Do something, but tell yourself, tell others, you are enough. Find 2 people on your way to your seat. Give them a hug and remind them you are enough. See, we need to know and understand that our value, I love that Grady talked about this, and I'm going to touch on it too. Our value is inherent. My value and your value is inherent. It's not contingent upon other people's approval, upon likes, or what other people say or think, or even what you think. Because value is not a feeling. It's a fact. You are valuable, and you need to get on your own team. It's the only path to victory. We got to find vulnerability. Last thing, I promise, last point. We need to find perspective in pain. In the fight of our lives, in the fight for our sanity, in the fight for our mental health, we need to find perspective in pain. Looking back on my own life, there's a lot of things that I wouldn't have chosen to have happen. But I wouldn't change them. There's a lot of things I wouldn't choose. If I was writing the story, I wouldn't choose it, but I wouldn't change it. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point in time in my life. to where we can move to perspective in pain and even purpose in pain. See, your current scene is part of a greater story. Everybody say scene. Take your hands like this. Everybody say scene.
Scene.
Everybody say story.
Story.
Scene.
Scene.
Story.
Story.
Your current scene is part of a greater story in your life. And oftentimes, in the midst of a difficult scene, we can lose the perspective that there's a greater story. We can even believe the lie that this scene is how it's always going to be. It's always going to be this dark. It's always going to be this difficult. Some of the most difficult scenes make the most powerful stories. I've been watching a lot of Moana recently. Small confession from the stage. How many of you have seen the movie? Okay, a lot of you. If you haven't, some of you, maybe you just need to leave and watch it because it's good. Not on my own, I watch it with my 2-year-old son, okay? You don't need to worry about me. But I'm pretty sure my son is a serious crush on Moana, but there's a scene in the movie. There's a scene in the movie where Moana has screwed up huge, right? She's trying to save the world. The darkness is encroaching, you know, all that. She screws up huge. Her boat is in tatters. Her confidence is in ruins. And the one person she has to help on this journey, Maui, turns into an eagle and flies away. And is basically, before he leaves, he's like, Moana, you're garbage. And the ocean should have never chosen you. And good luck getting home. You cut the movie right there. Walt Disney has to re-rate it as D for depressing, right? Worst movie ever. Parents are covering their children's eyes like, don't watch this movie. But you know it doesn't end there, right? She has that incredible, like, self-realization moment. She breaks into song and she, I am Moana, right? She goes on, spoiler alert, goes on to save the world, right? Here's the thing that you and I know is that some of the most difficult scenes make the most powerful stories.
Good.
That movie wouldn't be what a terrible movie. Everything went right. And she saved the world from the thing that wasn't even right. What a stupid movie. And so it is with your life and my life. Our life is made up of scenes that are part of a bigger story. And just like the movie, there are lessons to be learned, there are failures to be had, there are songs to be sung in the previous scenes that are important and integral to the development of our character and the development of our stories. If we look at our life like a timeline of this rope, there are moments in this timeline that will be joyful and will be awesome, and the sun will be shining on our face. We will break into song and it will be amazing. But inevitably, as the timeline of our life goes on, we face difficulty. Maybe that's death, maybe that's disappointment, and maybe in this time we reach out to resources, and maybe in this time we just dig down deep and we grit it, we man up, rat, and we struggle through. And inevitably the scene will change. And our life will vacillate between moments of joy and sunshine and moments of storm. And if you've lived long enough, you probably recognize and realize that most of us will come to a point in time when our current scene is so dark that we can't see the end. We can't see the light of the tunnel. We get in this place and we believe that this is our life, this is our story. And in moments like these, we can make the mistake in thinking that it would be better off for us to end our entire story just because the scene is rated D for depressing. Just because we can't see the end. You and I can make that mistake. For me, this scene was 7th grade. I was a small child. I hit puberty at about age 26. High squeaky voice, big old buck teeth. Turn to your neighbor and say, easy target. I was, and people took it. They took shots daily. I hated it. I hated my life. I hated how I looked. I hated so much about my scene. I remember I went home, I broke down, I told my parents what was really going on at school and why I didn't want to go. And they scraped some money together and put some porcelain caps on my teeth, because I thought if you fix the thing that people make fun of you for, everything gets easier. It doesn't. See, if our value, if our worth is wrapped up in what other people think about what other people say about us, then when they like you, you will like you. But when they don't and they find a new reason to make fun of you, you're right back where you started. See, I learned a hard lesson that we can change who we are to try to be the person we think other people want us to be, only to be surprised at the new ways they found to judge us. Or, everybody say or. We can recognize and realize, yes, that we have incredible value, regardless of what they say. Yeah. We can know and understand that our scene, it doesn't define our story, it enriches our story. We can know and understand that there are resources for help, that if we just keep struggling, we just keep swinging, we just keep fighting, that scene will be a memory someday, that we look back as a defining moment in our life. I recognized only later that all of the ridiculing, all of the teasing, all of the tormenting beat into my soul a resilience and a determination to make change. The only reason I'm standing on this stage, the only reason we've spent the last month putting this event together is because I know what it's like to cry into your pillow and not want to go to school. And I am determined, I am hell-bent to make change in this valley, to make change in this state, to make change in this country, to make change in our schools. But that wouldn't be there without that scene. Somebody needed to hear that tonight. We'll have scenes so dark that we can't see the other side. But we gotta keep fighting. I made a list of things that I would have never experienced if I had stopped my story because I didn't like my scene in 7th grade. I would have never married my beautiful wife and started the adventure of a lifetime with her. I would have never danced with my mom at our wedding and had her cry all over my tuxedo shoulder as she told me how proud she was of me. I wouldn't have spent time with my grandparents as they were dying and listened to those stories that I had heard over and over again, but just soaking them up, knowing that they soon would be gone. I wouldn't have had the amazing privilege and opportunity to speak and to teach to so many students, in person and online, through the power of the internet, using the lessons and using the trials and using the tribulation and the tears that I thought were a waste, that I prayed away when I was a kid. I wouldn't have been able to welcome my son Caleb into the world, or the next one in a couple of weeks. I wouldn't have been able to take him on his first backpacking trip, catch his first fish, or teach him how to load and fire his very own Nerf gun. Y'all know how important that is. Yeah! Most importantly, I wouldn't be here on this stage, interjected into your current scene as an encouraging voice, standing in your corner, saying, keep fighting, keep swinging, keep moving,
Keep reaching out for resources. You are valuable. You are worth it. Your future needs you. Your children need you. Your classmates need you. This valley needs you. Keep fighting. Keep swinging. Keep moving. Your scene is part of a larger story. A story that we need to hear. See, we must all fight. But we mustn't fight alone. Let us lock shields together. Grab the person to your right and to your left. It's cheesy as crap, but lock shields together. Let us lock shields together as a community. Let us, I didn't say talk to your neighbor, I said lock shields. Focus, we're finishing here. This is the culminating piece. I'll wait, I can wait. I'm a teacher, I'm patient. Never make middle schoolers touch each other and then expect them to be quiet. That was a rookie mistake. Rookie mistake. Come on, Lord. Let us be a community that asks the hard questions. Let us be people that seek others who struggle. Let us be students who walk through our school differently tomorrow. Looking to use the scenes and the difficulties from your life to touch and reach somebody. Let us be parents who aren't afraid and ashamed of the difficult things that we've gone through, knowing that we have somebody, we have a captive audience. I know they fight you, but they need you. They need you. Let us leave here different. Let us care more about the health and the well-being of ourselves and our fellow classmates than about our popularity or our reputation. Let us leave here different, armed with resources as agents of change, agents of love, and agents of hope. Love you guys. Thanks.
Alrighty, thank you so much. That was amazing. Give him one more round of applause. Powerful. So great for us to be here too, as we just jump into this. Okay, here's a little secret, you guys. There's no one more nervous in this room than these guys right here. This is so amazing. We have one student from every high school in the Valley, and one super brave junior high girl from KMS that's going to join us on stage tonight. Can you give them a round of applause? We've never done this before at the Character Conference, and we are so in awe of this group of people, and I am so expectant and excited about what they're going to share with you tonight. So lean on the forward on your seats. It's going to be much like conversation between me and them. They've all been preparing for the past week to share specific things with you. The first thing they're going to do, though, is they're going to go down the line and share their name, their school, their grade, and because it snowed yesterday and we're all just a little bit upset, they're going to share what they're most excited for summer.
Hi, I'm Colette, and I'm an 8th grader at KMS, and I am really excited for water skiing and hiking over at Foys Lake.
If you're good at KMS, can you give her a whoop whoop?
Yeah!
Hi guys, my name is Max Anderson. I am a junior at Flathead High School, and I am most excited for bridge jumping.
You go to Flathead, come on. Let's hear a cheer. So far, KMS.
I'm Chance. I'm a senior at Columbia Falls High School. I'm most excited for counseling at Dickey Lake Bible Camp this summer.
Okay, give a round of applause.
My name is Christian Hensley. I go to Glacier High School. I'm a senior, and I'm most excited to do a little wing surf in the summer.
Glacier.
I'm Laura Eshelman. I go to Whitefish High School. I'm a junior, and I'm most excited to go boating with my friends this summer.
I'm Izzy Santos-Steven. I'm a junior at Big Fork, and I'm super excited to longboard this summer.
Thank you guys so much. We're going to kick this right off with Max. His question tonight is, for you personally, what are strategies that you use to stay mentally healthy and positive?
Alrighty, so my philosophy is you yourself are the person that talks to yourself the most, you see yourself the most, you're always talking to yourself, whether it's verbally or non-verbally, and I think the most important thing is the thing you hear the most from yourself should be positive, and if what you're hearing most from everybody, yourself, you're hearing positive things, it can help your mental health and positivity stay up there. And
do you have like a time in your life when that,
right.
How'd you learn that?
So sometimes it's hard to stay mentally positive because things happen in life and that's unavoidable. A time in my life where it was really hard to be mentally positive was coming into 7th grade. My brother came back for the summer, and I was in 6th grade. I was this fat little marshmallow, like 200. Big guy, right? And my brother came down, and his challenge to himself was, let's see how small I can get this kid. And for 3 straight months, it was working out, eating healthy, eating gross Brussels sprouts and vegetables. It's disgusting. And I mean, it worked. I mean, after that summer, I came into 7th grade, 45 pounds lighter. I looked like a great little, skinny kid. And everybody I knew was like, whoa, what's happened to that kid? Like, he lost some weight. And it was really cool at the time because everybody that knew me was really positive about it. They're like, hey man, you look great. And it was a nice feeling. And as soon as, that year started, my brother left back in California because he worked there. And without that constant supervision for eating healthy, for working out, it was really tough to keep the weight off. And I ended up gaining, a lot of weight back. And during that time, from the stretch from 7th grade to about my freshman year, it was really tough to stay mentally positive and to understand that, your own personal mental goals don't have to revolve around your appearance or things that you think that are important that aren't as important as they seem. And, coming into high school, I had a lot of supportive friends, and that was kind of the thing where my next point is like, you have to surround yourself with positive people if you want to stay positive yourself. Yeah. And I think a really great way to do that for me was going into high school. I played football, I played basketball, and instantly, when you go into high school with a group of people that you can have the same similar goal working for constantly, it was really cool because, these guys wanted to work as hard as I wanted to work, and they wanted to do the things I wanted to do, and they were all so supportive, and it was a great time. And my band of brothers were the people that I love today, And I think, if football's not your kind of thing, or if basketball's not your kind of thing, find something, a club, anything, friends, something you can involve yourself into, so you can surround yourself with positive people with the same goal and with the same kind of personality that you want.
Yeah.
Amen.
Awesome. At some point is like look in the mirror and be like, dang, how'd that happen? Like that. And that's a powerful story. Thank you for sharing. Colette, you're up next. Why do you think people feel so isolated and lonely when we are more socially connected than ever?
Well, sounds good.
Keep it up, there you go.
Well, for me personally, I think that it's social media that really drives us apart from other people, because 15 to 20 years ago, you wouldn't start texting somebody if you were having a rough day at school.
That was when we were in
Keep going. If you were having a rough day, you wouldn't numb yourself by going on your phone or social media or something. You would have a face-to-face interaction with somebody. And I think we really lost that over the years as social media has advanced. And so I think it's really important that we need to get those values back. And while we're doing this, we see pictures of like our friends and stuff. They're outside, they're having fun, they're camping and stuff, and we're not part of that. So we're like really mad and stuff that we're not part of that, and we feel like we're isolating ourselves from this.
For me, it's like Mr. Couser's like the coolest person I know. He does all these like sweet adventures, and I look on my phone and I'm like, dang, I'm watching Netflix, and they're doing climbing a mountain. It's totally good. It's relevant any age. Relevant any age.
And I mean, we rely on our phones and stuff every day. Like, I have my phone on me. Like, who has their phone on them right now? I do. And so I think that I grew up with this. Everybody grew up with this. So we interact less with all of our peers and all of our friends and stuff because we're always on our cellular devices, which I think is just awful. And we're all sorry. At a screen. So that's my spiel.
You're good. You need more. You're good. Okay. His question: in your school or friend group, what do you see as the main cause of anxiety?
I think there's three main ways where pressure and anxiety is brought upon us kids. The first way being there's a pressure and need to feel included and being part of a group. And this can be dangerous because it can lead you to fall into a group of people who make you do things that you would not normally rather do. And so you gotta be careful with yourself, like the right friends you gotta have, you know, like surround yourself with people who bring the best out of you. The second way I think pressure is brought upon us is in school and most importantly academics. Whether there's a pressure put on you by your parents at home, I feel like internally everyone has a feeling that they want to like thrive and succeed. And it's pretty easy to see with like test scores. You know, you can see people who receive disappointing grades. Their heads down, like they take it like it's life defining. And I think it's important to realize the perspective of grades and your accomplishments because it's just a building block for your future. And the third way I see pressure, anxiety being created is with the need to feel like they got to keep up. You know, like if Jimmy has a new pair of shoes, you gotta have those, and you keep chasing something you don't have. And with social media, it's so easy to connect with millions of people and see what they have. You can get lost about worrying about what other people have rather than what you have and your blessings. So I think it's important to quit playing the comparison game and like being grateful for what you got.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of you high schools would agree out there, like the grades in college. I mean, who's a senior in here? Raise your hand if you're a senior. How many times a week do you get asked, where are you going to go to school? Where are you going to go to school? And just the pressure even on that. What are you going to do? What do you do with your life? Just the pressure that comes from the anxiety that's bringing, because I mean, studies are showing right now that this generation is more anxious than ever before. Chance, awesome. You're next. Chance has two questions. We'll start with the first one. What suggestions do you have for students? Let me preface this. If you're an adult or an administrator or a teacher, make sure you're listening in on this one. What suggestions do you have for students to become more supportive of each other, to build community within their school?
All right, so I'm gonna preface this with so I kind of answered this a little unorthodox. I have my answer, but then I also went to my friend Jacob. He's part of this like grief support group kind of thing led by students at Columbia Falls High School.
Is he here? Is Jacob?
Yes, he is.
Jacob, where are you at? Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah, and so I kind of asked him to answer the questions too, and so I'll end up reading my answer and his answer, a little paraphrase, because he sent me big paragraphs. But so for the first one, what suggestions do I have for students? My answer is I believe that students need to encourage each other to join different groups or like student body activities, whether it be anything like sports, clubs, groups, etc. And being involved in different communities, like it really helped me to connect with people of all types, and it's eased my anxieties about fitting in high school. So like along the line of like sports and teams and everything, I didn't really get involved in sports until later in junior high, and I kind of came in like, you know, I knew I was behind on things. I joined soccer in 6th grade, but I didn't really get into it until 7th and 8th.
Kids start playing that when they're like 2.
Yeah, it's what every little kid, no matter if they played football in high school, they played soccer when they were like 5.
Yeah.
And so it's
to run around in a little swarm.
Yeah, and so I was late to the game, and it built up this kind of like performance anxiety in me, you know. I knew I was behind, and so I would be, and it didn't happen until high school, but I'd be in a game and things would be going fine or things would be going bad, it doesn't matter. I'd start hyperventilating, I couldn't breathe, I'd have to catch my breath, and this is like in the most important moments of a game. But I'd have my team around me, and they would, they'd notice, they'd come up and they'd be like, hey, you got it, you're doing good. Right? And so,
building community, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what my team did for me. And then Jacob's answer was that students have a lot going on, and that they need people to talk with. We as students need to start engaging with these people. We can't healthily hold on to these kinds of emotions, and we need a way to release the pressure, like he was talking about. We can't push those people away because we're uncomfortable or think we're incapable. That's how people get hurt. The pressure will build and build until eventually people just pop. There are many ways to relieve that, though, that pressure. Just telling someone that you're there to help them, like at any time, and that you're willing to listen, it makes all the difference, and it gives people hope.
That's good.
Wow,
That's good.
So good. Second part of that question, what do schools need to do to foster more meaningful relationships and connections between students?
Okay.
All right, so my answer to this one was, I think the school needs to do a better job of advocating for different groups, and they need to be more active in helping students find those groups and like placing them. The school should take a more hands-on approach in getting kids to join groups, matching the kids' hobbies with the groups that apply to those.
Yeah.
My friend's response was that schools need to talk about the value of friends in situations where people feel alone, and about the importance of having people around you to support you. A school should help educate people on the importance of having a group of people that you can rely on. They can start by speaking to students, making them aware of the need people have for peer interaction. Once they've gotten everyone's attention, keep reinforcing these ideas of little things like a motivational quote on the announcements or flyers on the school walls. People will listen and people will see them. They don't need to cause an immediate change or immediate action. They just need to inform people and students that are struggling with these that people care, and motivate people to start caring.
Yeah, it's really powerful, like creating opportunities within the school walls.
Yeah.
Not expecting kids to leave and go and connect, but to get them connecting there.
Yeah, and so kind of like, I looked at my answer and I looked at Jacob's answer, and the conclusion I kind of drew was that they infer the same thing, and it's that schools and students need to work together towards this. Students, they're not well enough equipped to deal with these issues, and the school doesn't have the relationship with the students that other students do. And so I think they need to work together to deal with these.
Good. Awesome, thank you. Awesome. Izzy, if you could write a letter to your past self, knowing what you know now, what would you say?
Okay, well, I would definitely talk to myself in middle school. I was struggling a lot with wanting to fit in and be in like the popular crowd. And
anybody else ever struggle with that in middle school? Raise your hand. Everyone should have their hand up on that one.
So I would change the way I like dressed and acted to try and fit in with these people, but I never really was accepted by them. And I remember, this is kind of embarrassing, I was like getting ready and planning my birthday party with my mom, and I was like crying to her because I literally had no one to invite. I was kind of a loner. And like after that, I was just like, I just want one good friend. Like I don't want to be in a big group of girls that I can't connect with. So right after that, we prayed, and then in 8th grade, I found my best friend. She's actually here. And
how did you guys meet? Was it like running towards each other, like, oh, you'll be my best friends, like, I'll be your best friend?
We were actually kind of both loners. I remember this one time in basketball, this big group of girls on our team, they all took this picture together, and we were like the only two that were in the picture. And like she was crying, and I felt super bad. So that's like kind of when our friendship started. But like this whole experience just kind of made me like realize that when it comes to friends, it's always like quality over quantity, and that you're always gonna have like people that don't like you, and you're never gonna please everyone, but you just have to stay true to yourself.
Laura, how are you different better, or a stronger person because of challenges or setbacks in your own life?
Okay, well, I moved to Montana from Lancaster, Pennsylvania my freshman year.
Does anybody know what that is? Oh,
I don't blame you. And when I moved here, it was actually a pretty smooth transition. I made friends really quickly, which was awesome, and I loved Montana, but in moving, I kind of got consumed in creating this new image for myself that I left out a lot of pieces. And for me, that meant that I was about to start going down this hill, and I started struggling with anxiety and self-esteem issues, and it was just a really hard time in my life. And during this time, my sister invited me to church with her, and she had done that a couple times, but I always made up excuses. But this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. So I went, and I was just so overwhelmed to find this amazing community of people. I found people that wanted to know me, the good and the bad, and I was just used to people wanting to know me, the good parts, but not necessarily the bad. So it was very eye-opening to me. And one of the biggest takeaways I learned from church was how to be vulnerable. I was a super closed-off person before, and I think I just opened up a lot, and I found some of the most amazing friends through this. They're over there. They're pretty awesome. Yeah. And I became, I think, a lot better of a listener and a friend and a daughter. And I would just say, to anyone that's struggling, don't be afraid of change, because change is what's going to make you grow as a person. So, thank you.
And reach out. That's so awesome. This one's going to kind of jump around, so you guys are going to have to be really stealthy with that microphone. This is our last question. All of them not all of them will answer, but the ones that feel something strongly towards it. This is for the person who's in here tonight who maybe feels like one of these guys felt at some point, like alone, or maybe your life is just really horrible right now. Maybe your parents are going through something, maybe someone broke up with you, maybe someone passed away. Maybe you are thinking that this place is better off without you. And so this question, they want to speak to you tonight. What would you say to someone tonight who feels like they are fighting their fight alone, that no one understands what they might be going through?
Okay, so we're all here today because of this reason. We're all here for you. We wouldn't be doing this if this wasn't a problem, and it obviously is. So there are obviously people out here who care about you. So don't go sulking about thinking that there isn't, because there is. We are all here, and we're all very, very caring about you. So that's what my thing is.
Hey, if you need a friend, come talk to me afterwards. I'll give your Snapchat and talk to you.
Yeah, there's whatever you're dealing with, I bet you there's probably 7 or 8 other people at least, if not everybody else, who is dealing with the same thing. Yeah. Right? And they might not be the most likely people in the room. When one of my best friends passed away from cancer, I got to school the next day, I was sitting there crying on one of the tables out in the foyer, and these 2 kids who I don't talk to ever, they see that, they come and they sit next to me, and it's if people see that you're actively struggling and dealing with things, whether they do it or not, there's people who want to. And so I think a big part of this is just if you're one of those people who want to, just go and do it. It's going to make their day, and it doesn't really put you out that much. Yeah. Oh man, people are going to see me being a good person. Dang. But yeah, and so just for one, don't be afraid to just accept the fact hey, I'm struggling with stuff, and people they won't judge you for looking like that, right? And if they do, then you don't need to see those people in your life anyways. Yeah.
I think another important factor in that is don't be embarrassed to get help. It's not something to be embarrassed about. There are so many people at your schools that care and love you. So take advantage of that, and don't use that as an excuse, because there are so many people that want to help and are there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Christian said, I would just encourage you to take advantage of that. If you're struggling, we have so many resources at our fingertips. And it might be a little uncomfortable to go out there and ask for help, but it's only going to benefit you.
Yeah. Okay, I would say definitely talk to your parents or adults because they've probably gone through the same thing and they have a lot of good advice that they could give you.
Yeah, Mom and Dad. No, you guys reach out, and reaching out might not always be the comfortable thing through Instagram and a message. I know I've gotten those, Noah's gotten those, where it's like, hey, I'm thinking about this. We need to find people, real flesh and blood people to talk to, and we'll be talking more about what we have for you here tonight. You know, these guys kind of let me know that their dream is a standing ovation. I thought you guys could probably give it to them tonight. So give them one more round of applause. Thank you.
And so again, tonight is about what do we do when life happens? Because it will. Now I can't do that, so I'm not going to try. And I don't have time to incrementally go 10 and 20 and 30 and show you, but a couple things that I want to point out. When life does happen, what I encourage my students and what I encourage you to do tonight is, first of all, just take a step back. Get your focus off that for just a second, no matter what it is you're going through, and focus on the blessings. Focus on the good things in your life, because we all have, we live in America and we are so blessed. And so if we just start listing those blessings, there's so many of them, and we get our mind focused on those things. Number two, I think it's really important to focus on other people. Here's a really important point that I'm excited to make tonight, is usually when bad things happen, we look inward, and we continue to look inward. And I'll tell you that the more we look in here, we're not going to find it. It's going to get worse. So we need to look out, and that's going to be one of my primary points tonight. But also, when we struggle with something in life, I guarantee you there's probably many people that are struggling with something even worse. Now again, that's not to minimize the struggle, the reality of the struggle. But what I'm saying is, when those things happen, give. Bless somebody. Go find somebody else and make their day. Go see how somebody else is doing. Be kind to someone else. Now the third point that I want to make with this is, I had a good friend the other day tell me the story of the golf ball. And I don't know if you ever heard the story of the golf ball, but when they originally invented the golf ball, it was perfectly round. And as the inventors started to hit that golf ball, they noticed every time they hit it, they put a little dent in it. And as they kept hitting it, obviously it became full of dents, but what they noticed is, the more dents that golf ball had in it, the further it flew. So all that adversity and all that, those tough times for that golf ball made it better. So you guys here tonight that are students, you know you take tests all the time, right? Well, tests do two things. Tests will show you, and tests will grow you. So if I were incrementally to put weights on here, 10, 20, 30, and build up to this, that would show me where I'm at. And then if I wanted to accomplish those weights, it would grow me as I worked to get there. So, on January 23rd, you guys, here's the first reason that I'm talking to you tonight. That was a real quick version of my Every Day's a Great Day and what I'm all about with passion. And on January 23rd, the second semester had just begun, and I was delivering this message, but it goes for 50 minutes to 4 classes, with more passion than I'd ever delivered it before, and you're going to hear why in a minute. And as the 4th class walked out the door right on time, and the last student left, our principal, Mr. Hill, walked in the room, shut the door, and delivered the devastating news that Andrew Harris, a former student here at Glacier High School, one of the greatest football players we've ever had, that I've ever coached. He led us to an undefeated state championship season in 2014. He was playing for the Montana Grizzlies. Andrew Harris decided to take his life. And so that's why I'm speaking to you tonight. Because right now, you guys, I don't know what you might think or believe, but everybody in this room is special. I don't know what you might think or believe, but everybody in this room tonight is valuable. You have value. Your life has value. I don't really care what you think or believe, but everyone in here, your life has meaning and purpose. Doesn't really matter what you might think right now, but you matter. And each one of you have gifts and skills and talents and passions. And you're unique because you're the only you, and that's awesome, and that's why I love teaching and coaching. Now I know as I say that, because I've taught for 28 years in my students' journal, and this is what I see. As I'm saying that, some of you right now are saying back to me, no, I'm not, Coach Bennett. I'm not good at anything. My life's not valuable. I don't matter. But that's why I'm here tonight, you guys, to speak the truth to you. To tell you that that is the truth. So every day is a great day, right? Until it's not. Life is great, right? Until it's not. I'm great, right? Until I'm not. So that's the question tonight, guys, is what do we do? And I want you to know that it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to not be okay. What I'm asking you to do tonight is to not struggle alone. The first point I want to make from all of this section is this. Someone loves you. Someone cares about you. And even in saying that, some of you might say, I don't know, I can't identify that person. I don't believe you, Coach Bennett. But that's the point. Someone loves you. Someone wants to love you. Someone cares about you. Someone wants to care about you. That's what tonight's all about. That's why all these people are here. Someone wants to care about you.
It's good.
So, the second reason I'm here tonight is that a few months before I found out the devastating news about Andrew Harris, not so long ago in my life, on October 19th, I took my wife out of 29 years for her birthday dinner. And at that dinner, she told me that she was leaving me and having an affair. Now, psychologists say that the most painful thing that a human being can deal with is the loss of a child. And the second thing they say is so difficult to deal with is finding out about a spouse's infidelity. You guys, I'll be honest with you, I was a guy who, I told you, my life has been great, man, it has. And I was a guy who often wondered how people could get to the place where they turn to alcohol to drown their sorrows. I often wondered why people could get to a place where they turn to drugs to forget about and escape from life. And I often wondered how people could get to a place where they could get so low that they contemplated that life wasn't worth living anymore. But all of a sudden, there I am, at 3 a.m. in my house, all alone, and I'm having thoughts that I never dreamed I could have. I'm thinking things that I just did not think were possible for me to think. I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to go on. I don't know if I can go on. So as I close tonight, you guys, I want to close with just a couple points. Again, tonight's about what happens when life happens, because it will. What do we do? Where do we turn? Who do we go to? What do we go to? What happens next? The 3 points that I want to leave you with tonight, it all falls under this category. Now it's really cool, and those of you that are my students here tonight, I love you. Thank you so much, because my students this year, my first semester students walked through this with me. They saw me deal with those first 2 months. They were amazing. They were there for me. I told them so many times, thank you. My second semester students have heard this message with a renewed passion and vigor more than any students that I've ever had. So you guys that are my students tonight, I thank you so much. But the first thing is you have to preach the truth to yourself. You have to preach the truth to yourself over and over, every day, every hour, every minute, every second, if that's what it takes. And what is that truth? Well, it starts with this, and I want you to repeat it after me, and I really want you to say it to yourself. And I really want you to mean it to yourself if you would. Because I had to preach it to myself. And I was successful. I'm a successful teacher, coach, whatever, right? Man, I had to preach it to myself. So please say these things after me. I am special.
I am special.
I am valuable.
I am valuable.
My life has value.
My life has value.
My life has meaning and purpose.
My life has meaning and purpose.
I matter.
I matter.
I have gifts, talents, and skills.
I have gifts, talents, and skills.
My life is valuable.
My life is valuable.
Thank you guys, that's so awesome. So that's number one. Okay, the second thing I want to encourage you to do, please, the second thing I want to encourage you to do is you always have options. You always have choices. I can't lift this. There's no way. I can't. And I think we get to those places in life and we know that there's nothing I can do. I have no other options. I'm out. I can't do it. But I'm here to tell you that you always have options. You always have choices. So I'm going to segue with my third point to what Noah's going to talk about later, and that is this. Victory comes through vulnerability. Victory comes through vulnerability. You guys, I've chosen to be vulnerable here tonight in front of you in hopes that I can help even one person. And that night I had to be vulnerable. I had to decide to be very, very vulnerable to get help. And when I cried out, because that's the point tonight, is someone wants to love you, wants to care for you. You guys, I was loved so well. Overwhelmingly, unbelievably. It started with my family. All my kids wish they could be here tonight. But my oldest daughter, Regan, and her husband, Ethan, are here. Come on up, you guys. My Wolfpack football family, all the coaches. You guys, I was devastated by the fact that I thought maybe I was a fraud now. All the things that I taught those kids about being a man of character, feeling like a failure. I didn't feel like I could face them. And they loved me so well. All the coaches, all the players, past and present, unbelievable. Coach Fuller, a guy that I coached, and now he coaches with me. He's walked this journey with me from day one. Senior players like Clark Rand and Ethan Baines, Cole Crosby, and Evan Todd. Come on up, you guys. And I can keep going. So many resources that want to care. Our counselors were amazing for me. Came and talked to me and counseled me. Our administration was amazing. The entire Glacier High School and the community. Victory comes through vulnerability. Come on. Let's do this.
Come on.
I would hug all of them, but I know we've got to move on. That would have torn me in half if it wasn't for them. And that's the point. I hope you understand. So thank you guys so much.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. And if you're here till the end, we really appreciate it. Hope you were touched. Hope you were encouraged. There's resources in the links below for suicide hotlines and counseling hotlines, and we just want to encourage you to reach out for resources, to find strength in the struggle, and to be vulnerable, because that is the only path to victory. We love you guys. Adios.